Well, it looks like we're in one of those situations where, in the back of your mind, you sort of knew there was a strong possibility that something was going to happen, but you sort of like disregard that part of your mind because like there seems to be a lot of evidence to the contrary. And then that thing that you thought you knew happened, and you're like, damn it, why didn't I listen to that part? Um, that's where we're at right now when it comes to the 2024 presidential election results. This is from the Associated Press. Trump wins the White House in a political comeback rooted in appeals to frustrated voters. Donald Trump was elected the 47th president of the United States on Wednesday, an extraordinary comeback for a former president who refused to accept defeat 4 years ago, sparked a violent insurrection at the U.S. Capitol, was convicted of felon charges, and survived 2 assassination attempts. I swear, his whole life is like a drama. It's like a TV drama. With a win in Wisconsin, Trump cleared the 270 electoral votes needed to clinch the presidency. He won Michigan on Wednesday afternoon, sweeping the blue wall along with Pennsylvania, the one-time Democratic lead. Swing states that all went for Trump in 2016 before flipping to President Biden in 2020. His Democratic rival, Vice President Kamala Harris, called Trump on Wednesday afternoon to concede the race and congratulate him. A short time later, Biden also called Trump to congratulate him and to invite the president-elect to the White House, formally kicking off the transition ahead of Inauguration Day, the White House said. Biden also called Harris. Foreign leaders called Trump too, including Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu and French President Emmanuel Macron. The victory validates Trump's bare-knuckled approach to politics. He had attacked Harris in deeply personal, often misogynistic and racist terms as he pushed an apocalyptic picture of a country overrun by violent migrants. The coarse rhetoric, paired with an image of hyper-masculinity, resonated with angry voters, particularly men, in a deeply polarized nation. So, this is where the electoral votes stand currently. We got 224 to Harris to 292 Trump. Harris getting like Washington, California, Colorado, New Mexico, Illinois, New York, Vermont, all the states you'd expect her to get, Massachusetts. Trump getting Michigan, Wisconsin, Indiana, Ohio, Kentucky, Missouri, Kansas, South Dakota, North Dakota, Utah, and I think it looks like they're still leaning Trump in Arizona, Alaska, Nevada. I want to thank the American people for the extraordinary honor of being elected your 47th president and your 45th president, Trump told throngs of cheering supporters in Florida, even before his victory was confirmed. In state after state, Trump outperformed what he did in 2020 in the 2020 election, while Harris failed to do as well as Joe Biden did in winning the presidency 4 years ago. Upon taking office again, Trump will work with a Senate that will now be in Republican hands, while control of the House hasn't been determined. We've been through so much together, and today you showed up in record numbers to deliver victory, Trump said. This was nothing special, and we're going to pay you. This was something special, and we are going to pay you back. The U.S. stock market, Elon Musk's Tesla, banks, and Bitcoin all stormed higher Wednesday as investors looked favorably on a smooth election and Trump returning to the White House. In his second term, Trump has vowed to pursue an agenda centered on dramatically reshaping the federal government and pursuing retribution against his perceived enemies. So, I was wrong. A lot of people were wrong. I really thought Kamala had it. She ran a much better campaign. She's far more qualified, in my mind. And of course, her policies are just vastly superior than anything Trump can come up with. But now this just feels like 2016 all over again. Except the main difference being in 2016, I thought Trump was very likely to win. I was sort of on the correct side of that argument, it turns out. And this time, I wasn't. This time, I like so many people constantly do, underestimated Donald Trump. And I know you shouldn't underestimate Donald Trump. I know that. I know that in my soul and my bones. But I did it. Most people did it. The polls did it. And it's rather, I mean, I don't even know what to say in some level. It's disappointing. It's worrying. For anyone who has friends who are or are themselves capable of getting pregnant or in a union or part of the LGBT community, it's a harrowing time, because the Trump victory is not going to help any of those groups, and it won't help many other groups that I didn't mention. But yeah, I mean, what is there to say? Like, this is the world we live in. I mean, people's pocketbooks are hurting, so that probably helped. That helped the newcomer, or rather, maybe I should rather say it hurt the incumbent. She was a woman, Kamala. I thought America was ready for a woman president. Turns out they weren't. Because I thought more or less, if you're not Hillary Clinton, you could probably do it. No. So, I mean, and we can't, I'm not going to say definitively that, well, we can't like put a number on like how much racism and sexism played a part in Kamala's losing. But I think it would be idle to say that it didn't play any factors. There was, I mean, most voters must have just associated her with Biden. Many people aren't happy with Biden, despite him stepping down. And so they voted against her. And it's I mean, when I first heard this, I wasn't like, I mean, it sort of, messed up my morning. I was very flustered and confused, but then as the day goes on, I get more and more worried and fearful even. Because, now all of Trump's legal cases are up in the air. I mean, I won't go so far as to say that he has complete immunity from everything. He can't pardon himself from state charges, for example. So it's still possible some of these trials won't go away. But we're in very sketchy territory legally and constitutionally. We've never been here before. We've never elected a convicted felon before. So, but it's safe to say that for the meantime, at least, those trials aren't going to really go anywhere. Because this was more or less a life or death for Trump. This was his, Hail Mary pass to hopefully make everything go away by becoming president. And I don't know if he'll make everything go away, but he's become president. He's done it again. He's like a cockroach. He just never dies. I mean, everyone already knows this. He's a good showman. Although I was thinking, I mean, I still think he just seems tired. He seems tired nowadays. His heart doesn't even seem in it, which is funny. But it's a good showman. He's good at causing controversy. All publicity is good publicity, as the cliched phrase goes. So, he's more well known than Kamala. And A lot of people, I think, like his brash, arrogant way of doing things. There seems to be a aim off and away from the traditional like politics where you have to be the most clean cut, upstanding person to get elected. I don't think people care about that anymore. They would rather have an angry, narcissistic, loudmouth man-child in the White House right now. I mean, it's interesting. It's entertaining. People like to be entertained. People like interesting things. And I mean, so when I said earlier, his life's like a political drama, or not political drama. His life is like a TV drama. People love TV dramas. I love TV dramas. Like I love turning my brain off and watching some TV show where like all kinds of crazy things happen, and you're like, oh my god, what's going to be next? Like it's fun. Politics has become a TV drama, more or less. Just a TV drama that significantly harms or helps people's lives. So it's, I mean, there's a grieving process. We mustn't despair for too long because the fight never stops. But, and I wouldn't go so far as to say that the country won't survive another 4 years of Trump. The country will survive. But it's quite possible that another 4 years, it's quite likely actually, that another 4 years we will be more of a third world shithole, to quote Trump himself. Not talking about the United States, but that's a different context. But we'll be more of a third world shithole than we are now. There will be political retribution on his part. He will get rid of a good many regulations and red tape and I mean, he's going to change the structure of the federal government in significant ways, and we have to prepare ourselves for that. We can imagine. I mean, and it's going to be a little different from his first term as well, because now to some extent he's worked out the kinks in his system. I mean, by that I mean he knows who he can trust. He knows who will do his bidding and who won't. Like there were so many resignations and firings and controversies in his first term because he fell out with everyone because again he's an asshole. Nobody likes him. People will hitch their wagon to him if they think they can get something from it, and then he stabs them in the back, and then they hate him personally. I mean, so and there might be some of that, but I suspect it's going to be less of that than there was because he's going to be more careful with who his people are. Going to make sure that they are loyal to him and him alone. And yeah, I mean, it's a worrying development, and I'm not entirely sure how to think about it. I mean, I don't want to, I'm not going to do that thing that liberals do. They're like, oh my God, the American people are stupid, racist, sexist, hillbillies. I hate them. I give up on this country. I'm better than you. Like, no. I mean, there's plenty of racism and sexism and in this country, and we live in a racist and sexist society, and the structures of power are racist and sexist. So I mean, that's all there. But what I'm saying is, that I think we can't turn our back on the American people, I guess is what I'm trying to say. I mean, this is slightly different from 2016. 2016, it was much easier to give Trump voters a mulligan because they didn't know what they were in for. I mean, we knew what we were in. Many of us knew what we were in for, but many, people who aren't super invested in politics, the normies, didn't quite know what they were in for. They got it. So, I mean, as that goes on, it's harder and harder for me to be like, okay, I give you another mulligan. I give you another mulligan. I pardon you this time and this time and this time. Because at some point you have to be like, okay, how long are you going to support this man? There's so much dirt on him. Like, it's insane. The things we know he's done, bonkers. I mean, a convicted felon. If a convicted felon is president, it's hard to believe, honestly. Except it's not. But, I mean, having said that, I still don't want to, I still don't think we should be like, people are stupid and I hate them. Because, like, look, man, again, a lot of these voters don't pay a great deal of attention to politics, right? They're not super informed. They got their own lives. Again, it can be difficult to be informed as well. And we're also not given a full range of choices in these races. So, while this doesn't excuse voting for Trump, it explains it. And I think that's where we have to start. We have to start with, well, why are people voting for Trump? And to some extent, you have to say it's because the system is failing us. To some extent, you have to say Democrats are weak. They're ineffectual. They're not giving us anything worthwhile to work with. Your narrative can't be Trump bad, me good, vote me. That narrative that works for for the people who are already lib-pilled. The 50-year-old white woman who shops at Whole Foods and is bitterly whining about the news every night because she has no life. I mean, that works for that demographic, but that doesn't work in a lot of people. So, I mean, again, Democrats have failed us. I didn't think they would this time. Like I said, I thought Kamala was running a pretty good campaign. But it clearly wasn't good enough. Yeah, I mean, and if we don't make substantive changes, then we have to expect these demagogues to continue to be elected. I mean, who the hell knows what will happen in 4 years? I mean, obviously he can't run again, which is good. But will Trump give up power in 4 years? I mean, legally he has to. Legally, unless somehow the multiple terms, the 2 terms only rule gets chucked out. Seems unlikely. He can't stay in power, but is he going to try? I wouldn't put it past him. But there's so many unknowns going on right now. There's so much. There's so many moving parts here, and it's tough. It's tough. It's a worrying time. And you should be worried. But, well, there's no but. You just should be worried. I mean, if there is a but, the but would be, again, allow yourself to grieve, allow yourself to feel despair, anger, fear. Allow yourself to go through the process, to get through your emotions. And the next day we have to keep on fighting the fight. Because there's nothing else we can do. So I mean, I say this as someone who's never lived out of the United States of America ever. So like I'm probably like 10 times more ignorant about the rest of the world than I think I am. But like, I don't want us to give up on America. And again, that sounds sentimental. I mean, that even sounds, I sound like a boomer right now, and I don't even want to sound like a boomer. Maybe I am just getting complacent in my old age, but I don't want us to give up on America. I don't want us to give up on the American people. Maybe it'd be a better way of phrasing it. I don't want us to give up on the American people. The American people have made their choice. Because actually, what's surprising is not only did Trump win the Electoral College, it looks like he won the popular vote, which hasn't happened since Bush Jr. in 2004. So that's surprising. That's more surprising than the electoral win, even. Because he didn't win the popular vote in 2016. Hillary did. But, the American people have spoken. They've made their choices. We have to live with it. But we have to understand those choices and go from there. We have to capitalize on what Trump is capitalizing on. We have to capitalize on that frustration. We have to capitalize on, that economic populism that Trump's associated with. We have to capitalize on the fact that the American people doesn't seem to want a super polished candidate. I prefer not a convicted felon myself, but you got to be brash. You got to be crude, even rough. You got to be, not just single-minded, but I don't know if I want to say brutal, but like, you got to be tough. You got to put yourself out there, and you have to be okay to throw the punches as well as take them, and be more candid, be more down to earth, shall we say. That seems to be what the American people are looking for. Now, I think we had that in Bernie Sanders. Didn't work out. I don't think he'll ever be president, but we need something like that. We need a Bernie Sanders type who can get angry, who does get angry, who, has that fire in them, and it is confident, is charismatic, and can, tell it like it is. Sounds cliche, but I suppose that's roughly what I'm trying to say. Trump doesn't tell it like it is, to be clear, but people think he does. He gives off the impression of, telling it like it is, shooting at the hip. So what the Democrats need is someone who actually tells it like it is, and can, again, capitalize on that anger and frustration, because there's plenty to be angry and frustrated about. Yep. I don't know. I'm kind of rambling at this point, but like I said, as sentimental and silly as it sounds, I don't want this result to make us give up on America or the American people. The American people deserve it better. And sometimes, this sounds elitist, sometimes people don't know what's better for them. Sometimes I don't know what's better for me. Like, it's human to not always know what's good for you. Now, I'm not here to say, we should be talking down at the American people and wagging our finger at them, being like, you're bad, you're dumb, you don't know, let me take care of you. It's like, I'm not advocating for, a technocracy. I'm not saying I'm pro technocrat, so I'm not, but That is to say that we can do better by the American people. We can do better for the American people. And not in the sense of we are better than them and we should, not in the sense that, we should control them, we should govern them, not in a paternalistic sense, but in a sense of solidarity and community. We can do that. And I mean, we'll keep on doing what we can do for these next 4 years. So don't give up, I guess, is the takeaway from this video. Don't give up. It's distressing. Shocking, even though it shouldn't have been. But hindsight 2020. Yeah. Anyway, in conclusion, I can't talk today. Trump won the presidential election. We have to deal with the consequences, but don't give up on the American people. The American people aren't stupid. They deserve better. I truly do have faith in the average person. Many people think it's a misguided faith. I don't even know if I want to call it a faith, but I have a trust in the American people, in the average person. The average person, I think, is a lot smarter and empathetic and compassionate than people give them credit for. And I don't want this election to paint a picture of America's just full of dumb hillbilly racists that don't care about anything, because that's just not true. But again, that doesn't mean we should that people are off the hook for this. I think everyone who voted for Trump has something to, or the people who voted for Trump in swing states especially, has something to account for. They've done themselves and the rest of the country dirty. And it's tragic and insulting. But many times people's voting patterns are tragic and insulting, and that's why we have to work to educate and inspire as best we can.